Well, hello there. We want to try this again? Do we want to try this again? Don't tempt me, people, because I got tons of other things I need to be doing. All right, let's try this again. 4 to the third power. 4 to the third power is not 4 times 3. The numbers are not even the same size. How can you even think that it's going to give you a 12? Okay. Oh, yeah, someone said 12. She knows or knows who it is, right? Don't play with me, because I will. I will shut it down. All right. So 4 to the third power. That's 4 times 4 times 4. Okay. 4 times 4. That gives me 15. We'll see if they come back, and we'll find out. Because, everybody just want to test and see the waters. So trust me. Now you know. I do as I say, and I say as I do. Okay? So, 4 to the third power, what do we get? Okay. Good morning. Welcome in. So, 4 to the third power, what do we got? There you go, Jordan. Thank you, Jordan. Thank you, Amber. Hello, Kevin. How are you? All right. All right, so we got our 64s. There you go, chosen wife. Appreciate it. All right, so now, let me zoom in a little bit. Now we have x cubed raised to the third power. So it's just like what we just did. It's almost like we could do the expanded of x cubed times x cubed times x cubed, or we can just simply multiply the exponents. Okay, so 3 times 3, that gives me x to the 9th power. When you have an exponent, a parenthesis, and an exponent, that means you're multiplying your exponents. So yes, there you go, Angela gives me that 9. So now we have y raised to the third power. Well, if we know that we have an exponent, every time you don't see an exponent, the exponent is 1. So 3 times 1 will give us 3. So that means we have y to the third power. Same exact thing is happening with the z. So we have z to the third power. Okay? The part that always gets a lot of people, you remember to do the exponents because you're like, oh, I just have to multiply them. But everyone always forgets to raise your leading coefficient with that exponent. All right. There you go. Hello, Justin. All right. So this is your answer. So let's take a look at another one. So if we have, let's say 6x to the negative 6th power, y to the negative 7th power, z to the 0 power, and it's raised by negative 2. Okay. All right. Okay. Angel, it's okay. And if you need someone to help with a tutor, I'm willing to do that. Okay? Don't be scared. I think coming off and coming back on brought a whole lot more people. Don't be scared. All right. So, Darren, we have that 136, x to the 12th, y to the 14th. Okay, we got a negative 36. You have to take college algebra. Okay, let me know. All right. Okay. Thank you for the heart. Thank you, Billy. How are you? All right. Yes, you can definitely do that. All right. Now, first things first. I'm the realist. No, I'm just kidding. Inside this parenthesis, I'm noticing that everything inside the parenthesis is being raised to a negative 2, right? A negative exponent. So we could do one of two things. We could flip everything, so that means this is going to be a positive exponent, and then do our distribution. Or we can do our distribution first and then worry about the flippage afterwards. Now, if we want to do, say, the flippage first, I'm going to show you both ways so you can figure your lives out. So if I want to do the flippage first, let me do it over here. Whoops. That means this whole entire base, I'm not changing anything inside the base just yet. If I want to handle this negative 2 to make it into a positive exponent, this whole entire base is going to have to drop into the denominator. The reason why, because anytime you have a whole number that's a base, it's always over 1. So in order for you to change that to a positive 2, we have to flip it. So that means my 1 is going to be my numerator. My denominator is basically going to be the base as is. Okay, the base doesn't change, even their signage, their exponents, everything stays the same. But what changes when you flip is this exponent. It's not going to be a negative 2 now. It's going to be a positive 2. Now from here, we're going to raise everything inside of this parenthesis to the second power. Yes, so it is going to be 1/36 instead of 36. Good. So let me distribute. So I got my 1, that's my numerator. Put equal sign so you can see the difference. So 2 to the 6th power, that will give me my, let me really break it down. So it'll be 6 raised to the 2nd power. Then it will be x raised to the negative 6 raised to the 2nd power. This is exactly what you're doing. Y to the negative 7th raised to the 2nd power. Yes, I can go right into it from here, but I really want to show it to people that's like, dude, I haven't seen this since I was a fetus. Okay, so I want to take it step by step. So you're basically making everything inside of this parenthesis, you're going to raise it to the 2nd power. So now let's do a little bit of more math. So equals, we have our 1, 6 squared, that's where the 36 is coming from. When you have an exponent being raised to an exponent, you're multiplying them. So you have x raised to the negative 12th power. Same thing's happening with my y's. We have negative 7 times 2, so that's negative 14. Then we have our z. So we have 0 times 2. Well, that's going to give us 0. So let's clean this up. We know that anything raised to the 0 power is going to equal what? Okay. It's going to give us 1. Good, Justin, Darren, official. There you go, Mo, Angela, Anya. Okay, everyone. It's not going to be 0, Amber. It's actually going to be 1. Okay, so if I multiply this 1 with the 36, I'm still going to get 36. So I'm not going to worry about that. But here, x raised to the negative 12th, and y raised to the negative 14th, one, we can't combine them because they don't have the same bases, and two, they have negative exponents. So in order for them to translate into a positive exponent, we need to bring them up with the 1 in the numerator. That's how you make them into a positive exponent. So it looks like our answer is going to be, if you want to put the 1, you can. X to the 12, now it's positive. Y to the 14th, now it's positive, over 36. And if you're like, well, where did the 1 go? The 1 is understood to still be in the numerator. Okay? Remember, 1 is, if there's something in the numerator, the 1 is understood to be there. Okay? You trying to go into your army? Okay, so you have to get your ASVAB together. So welcome on in, because you're definitely going to have to deal with exponents. So if they're in the denominator, who asked that? Caught in the rain. When they're already in the denominator, it doesn't mean that they're automatically positive. You're going to have to push to the numerator. If they're in the numerator and they're negative, you drop down the denominator. If they're in the denominator and they're negative, you got to put it up to the numerator. Okay? Yep, I know. I saw that you would need to speak to me after class. That's fine. Okay? So, once it is a negative exponents, you have to flip it to the top. Okay? All right. All right. There you go. Yep. So let's try one more. So we have 7xy raised to the negative second power. It's a negative 2. Okay. Yep, I already have my questions listed, so this is what it is. If this is too easy, I love you. I appreciate you being here, but this is the pace that we go at. So I hit on a lot of the concepts that is learned in either GED, regular classrooms. So this platform is really for those that, struggle with math and never had anyone to really break it down. So that's why I'm here, okay? So if this is a little too slow for you, that's fine. I appreciate you stopping by. I really do. But this is the pace that I go at, and I already have everything prearranged, okay? Thank you. Okay. Well, let's open our mind, Dolphin. We can do that. Okay. Let's learn something a little new. Okay. Put a y in the exponent. No, Anthony. So, Darren, we have y to the 4th over 49x squared. Sarah, we have y to the 4th over 7 raised to 2x squared. Okay. Michael Simpson, 49. Distribution of the negative 2. Okay, Mr. Nobody, that's fine. I hate your name, though, because you are somebody. All right, yep, you could definitely drop me a DM. Okay, so we have x raised to the second power over 49, y to the 4th. All right. Okay. So let's see. Now, if you tried something and you're not sure what it is, you can also put a question mark. Okay. I'd rather you try something. It's perfectly fine. If you're just like, I don't know what's going on here. Okay, Dana, you have x squared over 49y to the 4th. Toddy saying a negative 49, x raised to the negative second, y to the negative fourth. Okay. Got some comments that were filtered. What kind of nastiness you guys putting in the chat? Let's keep it clean, people. All right. So happy said I want to tell them, but I don't want to distract the class. Okay. Yep. Of course. You can always message me. Because my brain just don't get it. Okay. So you just need someone to kind of break it down. All right. Try to get it. Because when you try to teach to the masses, it's just a hot mess. All right. So we have some y to the fourth, 49's x squared. That's mode to money. All right. 2 Pookies. 4 lifers said 49xy plus 4. Lizzie saying y to the fourth over 49x squared. Michelson saying 49x raised to the negative 2, y to the fourth. 49x squared, y to the fourth. Let's take a look. All right, first thing, if we can, let's make this outside positive. The way we do it, we're actually putting it over 1. And what we're actually going to do is flip. So that means my numerator is going to be the 1. And my denominator is going to be everything that we see. Nothing changes inside the parenthesis. The only thing that changes is the 2 for the outside exponent. This is the reason why you're doing the flip, because that negative 2 is now going to be a positive 2. This negative 2 stays exactly the same, okay, because it's part of your base. The reason why we flip so we can have this outside be a positive. Now, we're going to raise everything that's inside that parenthesis. We're raising everything to the second power. So that 7 is being raised to the second power. This x is being raised to the second power. And this y to the negative 2, or to the negative second, is being raised to the second power. So when we clean this up, right now, my 1 is still my numerator, just right now. 7 squared, it is not 14. Okay, so all those people that are coming in that's new, I shut the live off before. All right, so 7 squared. This means 7 times 7. That's where the 49 is coming from. Then we have our x squared. Now here we have a negative 2 being raised to the second. So when you have a exponent being raised with an exponent, you multiply the exponents. So that would give you y to the negative fourth power. But we cannot have a negative exponent in our denominator, or just in our problem. So just this needs to be pushed to the numerator so we can get a positive exponent. Not the whole entire base, just what's being raised by a negative exponent. So your official answer is going to be, you have your 1y to the positive fourth power, or just y to the fourth power, over my 49x squared. Okay. On Saturdays, I begin at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now, for those that are coming in later, or you came in, let me give you a little helpful hint. Okay, this is where you can go. All right, type in this. Okay, this is where you will find all my replays, all my TikTok replays since February 2nd. Okay. Right. All right. I try. Okay. So if you need a place, will this class be every Saturday? Yes. 10:30. Okay. Sometimes I work on sample tests from SATs, ACTs. Last week we did HESI. Sometimes I do algebra review, which is like a mixture of stuff. But I've noticed that a lot of my current clients, they were having trouble with exponents and factoring because they need help with rational functions, which if you're currently taking a college algebra class, the pace of that class is immense, especially if you haven't been in school for a minute. Okay, I do offer private tutoring. Yep, just message me. Yep, do I tutor for trig? Yes, I do. Just message me. Okay. All right. So, if you ever need private tutoring, just message me. Okay. If you want any of my courses, if you're thinking about taking your GED and you just need someone to break it down step by step, I have 107 videos. So go ahead, take a screenshot of this. I'm going to take it down in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yes. Oh, thank you. Silver lining. I appreciate you. All right. So we are still not done with exponents. This is just the beginning. There's so much more. All right, so there's actually one more. But I'm going to put it up on this page. Actually, I'm going to put it right here. So the last part is, let me just make sure I get my colors correct. It's green. Okay, the last section that deals with exponents is called the power of quotients. So quotients, we're basically looking at fractions. Okay, so we have 3/5 raised to the second power. Okay, 3/5 raised to the second power. One of the ways, which I was breaking it down earlier, is they're saying that this exponent is telling the base, hey base, you need to multiply yourself 2 times. So it could be represented in extended form as this: 3/5 times 3/5. And what we can do here is we can multiply straight across horizontally. So 3 times 3, that gives me 9. And 5 times 5 would give me 25. That's one way of doing it. The slightly advanced way of doing it is you're basically taking everything inside this parenthesis and you're raising it to the second power. So that means I'm raising the 3 to the second power as well as the 5. Yep. So when we take a look at this, 3 squared, not 3 times 2, 3 squared, 3 times 3 gives me 9. 5 squared, okay, 5 squared is 5 times 5. That gives me 25. Okay. So you're getting the same answer, but as things get a little more intense, this expanded form is going to be tough to do. Especially like if you're going to say, all right, 3/5 raised to the 12th power. You think I'm going to sit here and do like 12 parentheses? You child, you joking. Okay, we're not doing that. So that's why knowing and learning those little tidbits and keeping those within you, you'll be able to get this a lot quicker. Now, exponentials, because I know someone's going to ask, like, when am I going to use this in real life? If you're thinking about taking out a loan, how do you know you're going to be investing your money if your money is going to grow at a rapid rate, or is it going to decline? So, like, what is the rate? What is that process? Okay, so I always associate it with money. Okay, no, you do not divide the 9 and the 25, Toddy. Okay, you do not. You just leave it. You want to keep it as fractions as best we can. AP pre-calc, yes it is. I don't like it. It can go back to the depths of hell in which it came. So, people just be making up stuff, trying to make math harder than it actually is. Okay, we want to count by drawing sticks, and then how you going to count the dots? Why are we counting dots? Why we got sticks? What's going on? Right? Insanity. All right, so b to the 7th. And let's keep it to the 2nd power. Don't need to get too crazy. All right, so this time we have 2a to the 5th divided by b to the 7th. And all of that is being raised to the 2nd power. Yes. Thank you. Thank you for the pumpkin pie. It's making me hungry. I haven't eaten yet. You know, it was one of those mornings, should I choose sleep or food? And I'm like, shoot, I might not even have to buy that Nature's Zempic or whatever that thing is. Just choose sleep. We really stop and think about it. All right, so Toddy, we're saying 2a raised to the 10th over b to the 14th. We're saying 4a to the 10th. Dan Rodriguez is saying 4a to the 10th over b to the 14th. Darren's saying 4a to the 10th, b to the 14th. Rashid, 4a over b to the 14th. A to the 10th over b to the 14th. Okay. All right. So we have all the follows. Are we supposed to add the exponents? You only add the exponents if they have the same base and you're multiplying. Okay, when you're multiplying, they have the same base, you're adding the exponents. When you're dividing and they have the same base, you subtract the exponents. Okay, forgot to multiply the base. There you go. There you go, Toddy. You got it. All right. Okay. So B is 49. How do you know? Okay, let's take a gander. Let's take a look. So we have a positive exponent. Ooh, thank goodness for that. But everything inside of this parenthesis is going to be raised to the 2nd power. So let's do it like this. So we have, I'm going to put it down here so we can get some room. So that means the 2, that's being raised to the 2nd power. The a to the 5th, that's being raised to the 2nd power. Then we have our b to the 7th. And that's being raised to the 2nd power. Okay. So now hopefully we'll be able to see it a little bit more. So now we have 2 to the 2nd power. So 2 squared, 2 times 2, that will give us 4. Then we have a to the 5th raised to the 2nd. So when you see an exponent, a parenthesis, and an exponent, you're multiplying these. Because if you want, you can write a to the 5th times a to the 5th, which will give us a to the 10th over, now we have b to the 7th raised to the 2nd. So we are multiplying those exponents. Anytime it's an exponent, a parenthesis, and an exponent, you're multiplying. So that would give us our b to the 14th. Now, this is how I know when I can stop. This is a base of A. This is a base of B. They're not the same. So that means I cannot subtract these exponents. This is my answer. Okay. Does the variable equal 1? No. The coefficient, the number that's in front of the variable, if you don't see anything, that's 1, not the actual variable. I don't know who started that, but they need to go back to the depths of hell, which they can't. Because I spend so many hours telling people, no. Here we go. ASVAB, yes. GED, yes. Accuplacer, yes. T's test, yes. Hesse's test, yes. IBEW, yes. I'm trying to think of all the other variables. Praxis, yes. All of them. Everybody needs exponents. Oh, so close to the answer. That's all right. Yes. All right. Life, yes. It's like all of it. Okay, let's take it up a notch. Like, no! Yes. All right, so EX. So here we go. So we have 3a to the negative 4th. I know I can hear the sides all the way from here. Let's say b to the 6th. And all of this is being raised to the 3rd power. Take a look at it. Do I do algebra? Yes, and that's what I'm doing. Do I tutor algebra? Yes, I do. Message me. Okay, message me if you're interested for tutoring. I do Algebra 1, Algebra 2, college algebra. I do trig, geometry to an extent. I just don't like doing constructions. Everything else, I'm good. Proofing is, yeah. Okay. Calculus, pre-calc is my thing. Calculus, no. Pre-calc I actually like. Okay. Oh, Mando. It's getting played out, dude. Like, once you get adults saying it, you know it's all played out. So, you know. Okay. Do your test. Money. You don't have enough money, darling. It's not enough. I'm expensive for me to do their tests. I know, I do like trig. Word problems, I used to hate them, but I actually like them now. Tracy. I know. It's cute. It's cute. But I said your name, so hey, there you go. You're popular now. It's all right. Okay. You have intro to algebra this semester, pre-algebra next fall. Okay. Good. Then trig or geometry? Tutor for teacher certification? Yes, for the beginning, for Praxis 1 I do. And if you're doing the math. Okay. All right, good. All right, so let's see. If you're like, I don't get it, you could put a question mark. Or maybe you got something and you're like, I don't want to be wrong. Guys, it doesn't matter. Like, this is not Squid Games. You're not going to get knocked off if you get an answer wrong. You're going to live. Hopefully. Okay. If someone's in the house, like, go. Why are you on my live? Run. But here we go. Give a separate geometry class. What do you mean a separate geometry class, John? Oh, I know. Okay. Right. Exactly. Rochelle, exactly. Because that's how you learn. You have to make mistakes, guys. You have to make mistakes. That's the only way you can learn. Yeah, I'm not going to be like, oh, we all got to be perfect. No, there's too many people, there's too many students that I've lost in years past because they're trying to be perfect. Eating disorders, unaliving themselves, all because they're trying to chase something called perfectionism, and it doesn't exist. Stop it. Okay, taking statistics. Okay, there you go. All right, let's take a look. All right, so first off, we're raising everything, okay? Everything to that third power. So that means my 3 is being raised. I'll just use the blue so you can see it. It's being raised to the third power. This a to the negative 4th, that's being raised to the third power. Okay, and over my b to the 6th, that's being raised to the third power. Okay, so now take it into bits. Take it into bits and pieces until you start getting into it. You know, hell, you didn't come out the womb walking and breakdancing. You know, you were like, ooh, I got a thumb. I don't know what this is, but this looks fun. I should put it in my mouth. And that's basically what you did. Okay? So we're doing 3 raised to the third power. That is not 9. Stop it. Okay? So 3 to the third power, that's 3 times 3, which gives me 9. And 9 times 3 gives me 27. So now you have this negative 4 raised to the third power. You have your base of a, and when you see an exponent, a parenthesis, and an exponent, that means we're multiplying. So this gives me a negative 12. And you want to put it over. Now we have b to the 6 raised to the third power. So 6 to the third power, that gives me b to the 18th. Okay, I'm doing this step by step, but I know eventually you guys will be able to do this multiplication, and you know that when I have a negative exponent, which I do just for my base of a, not for the 27, just for the base of a. Now here's the thing. If there was a parenthesis around it, yes, everything will have to drop, but there isn't. So the only thing that's going to have to drop down in the denominator is going to be my a. So for my final answer, I'm going to put it up here, is going to be 27. All right. Down the denominator will be b to the 18th. And unless you want to put in alphabetical order, you can do that as well. I'll do that. That'll be a to the 12th. I know, it's all like slanted like my life. Looks like a crazy trapezoid or trapezium. Okay. When you multiply, I think it's when it says 3 to the third power, 3 to the third power, this is your exponent. It's telling you that you're taking this base of 3 and you're multiplying it to itself 3 times. Okay? So 3 times 3 will give me my 9. 9 times 3 will give me the 27. Okay. No problem, Kat. All right. Okay. So you got to take it step by step. You never want to have a negative exponent, period, regardless if it's in the numerator or the denominator. I think that was Stephanie. Okay. Oh, hello. All right. Okay. Do I do graphs? I do, but not this stuff. Hey, Cloudy. I try. My voice is so soothing. I know. But thank you. I think that's why a lot of people come, because I try not to be too much of a 10 unless I'm pissed off about something. But I feel that people learn better when they're calm. You can't learn in a stressful environment. So, and it's hard because in the classrooms, the teachers can't control this. They can't control it. You have the classroom that you have, and that's it. But I wanted to develop a place, or to give you a spot where you can, 1, be free to ask questions, 2, to be able to make mistakes and make adjustments, and 3, to help you with whatever you need. Passing the GED, passing the Accuplacer, ASVAB, all of that. Okay, so this is going to be the last one for exponents. And like I promised, we're going to go into factoring, but we're going to focus on factoring trinomials. Okay, so that's the next part of this lovely little lesson. Yeah, the weekends I usually try to take my time, especially today I didn't have any students. So I'm like, hey, let me come on here and torture you guys. Okay, if you get a negative exponent, I think this is naive, negative exponent in the denominator, you put it in the numerator and make the exponent positive. You just flip it. So if the negative exponent's in the denominator, flip it to make it positive and put it in the numerator. If the negative exponent's in the numerator, flip it down to the denominator and make it positive. Yep. Oh, see my bio. Jesus, go away. So this kind of tells me it's like you're obsessed with me. Why are you so obsessed with me? I'm telling you, it's my voice. It's my voice. It's probably my knuckle. Like I always said, someone told me I had a sexy knuckle. Maybe that's what it is. Right? Exactly, Jordan Square. Seriously. Get a life. Like, ooh, look at that knuckle. Oh, I need therapy. Life is just way too fun. It's my voice. Oh, okay. Maybe I should put like a weird accent. No, that will make me crazy. Right. Gotta show them off. Hey, you never know. One day these knuckles are going to be saggy. So gotta show them off while they're youthful. Youthful and vibrant. I know. Oh my gosh, yes. All right, so seeing some answers. I'm so sorry. Got easily distracted with my foolishness. Let me get back to what I'm supposed to be doing. Because some people had some answers earlier. Yes, so we do want to make that 6 into a positive. So yes, that was that one. Rochelle is saying a to the... Wait, hold on. Rochelle, you have it down a couple of times. So Mike is saying a to the 12th, b to the 30th over c to the 66. Okay. Would you ever move exponents from the denominator? Yes, you can, especially if they're like negatives. There we go. All right, so Richelle, we're saying a to the 12th, b to the 3rd, c to the 66. Okay. Okay, Juan, we're saying 6 raised to 66 over a to 11, b to the 30th. Okay, we got the Joe Show that wants to get himself out there. There you go, Joe Show. You're famous, baby. Go ahead. Baby magic. Toddy, we have C to the 66, A to the 12th, B to the 25th. Okay, we could probably do some reductions. So we got some reduction with dog will hunt. Okay, we got this. Yep, I'm going to finish the problem flight. That's all right. Calm down. Relax. Okay, devastate. We got A to the 12th, B to the negative 30th, C to the negative 66. All right, so let's take a gander. First, we have this lovely fraction. Okay, now this time, on opposed to the last time we had a fraction, we had a positive exponent. But this time, we have a negative exponent. So how to make this positive? You're probably like, well, you said to flip it, but I don't know how to put all of this over 1 and flip it. Pause. This is already as a fraction. So the flipping is going to be amongst the fraction. The reason why we didn't flip here is because my exponent out here was positive. Now that my exponent out here is negative, we're going to flip this. Not change these signs, but we're going to flip this fraction. So it's going to look like this. You have your c to the negative 11th over a to the negative 2nd, b to the negative 5th. So this outside could be a positive 6. Okay, so if you want to flip it, that's what you can do. I'm going to put the word or right here. And I'm going to rewrite it, but I'm going to rewrite it in red. And you're like, why? You're going to see. So we have a to the negative 2nd, b to the negative 5th, over c to the negative 11th. And it was being raised with the negative 6, right? Okay, they look exactly the same, all right? Now, I could just go right ahead and make everything, raise everything to the negative 6 power. So it's going to look like this. We have our a to the negative 2nd raised to the negative 6. We have our b to the negative 5th raised to the negative 6. Then we have our c negative 11th raised to the negative 6. If you notice, we have an exponent being multiplied by exponent. But look here, multiplication, negative times negative, my answer is always positive. Okay? So since it's always positive, we have our a to the 12th Then we have negative 5 times negative 6. That will give me a positive 30 over C. Negative 11 times negative 6 will give me a positive 66. So we really didn't have to flip, but just in case you did, let me show you. Okay? Sometimes you gotta stop and look to see what's happening with the exponents. So if you notice, everything inside here has a negative exponent and I'm multiplying by a negative exponent, that means it's going to give me a positive result. So I can just go ahead and just multiply my exponents for each of the variables. Now, if you flipped it, not a problem. Now we're going to raise everything to the positive 6. So that means you're going to have C to the negative 66. You're going to have A to the negative 12. And you're going to have B to the negative 30th. Now, since everything has a negative exponent, that means everything is going to do a little bit of a traveling. So that means, let me use blue. That means this A to the negative 12, that's going to go up. That means B to the negative 30, that's going to go up. And this C to the negative 66, that's going to go down. Okay, so we're going to have to do that flipping. So that will give us A to the 12th, B to the 30th, over C to the 66. It will get you where you need to go, but you're going to have to do an extra step. Okay? So sometimes it's always good to stop and look, see what's going on with the exponents. Okay? You get it now? All right, good. All right. Okay, thank you for the follows, guys. Appreciate it. Yes, I think we were all traumatized. I know I was. And this is the reason, I guess this is the reason why I became a teacher. I really don't know how it happened, but I was in the classroom for 22 years. And this is my 6th year tutoring, and I tutor all around the world. So I have Nairobi, Kenya, Cairo, Egypt, from West Coast to East Coast. Only have a couple people in the Midwest, like Texas. Now I have Puerto Rico. So yeah, we're all there. Nope, we don't reduce any of these. I love freedom. We don't reduce any of these. Yep, we don't touch them. That's it. Okay. So complicated in class? I don't know. I don't know. Like 22 years ago? You wish this existed? Yeah, it oh, this live? Oh, yeah. I was like, yeah, exponents existed? Girl, what you talking about? I'm just kidding. Inside the parentheses are positive. So you only, when they're raised to a negative exponent, those are the ones that are doing the flipping. Only the ones with the negative exponents after you did your multiplication, if you have to. Okay, so we don't reduce any. All right. I always tell students an extra step gives, oops. Hold on, I have to do the lovely puzzle piece. How often do I go live? I go live every day. Today I'm actually going to go live a little bit later this afternoon to do rational. Either this afternoon or evening to do rational functions, maybe. Depending on how much time I spend with this, because I still have to do factoring with you guys, We're going to do factoring. Isn't it fun? Right. Okay. So if anything, you can follow me or get into my fan club. So that should give you notification of when I go live. Okay. Because the weekends, you know, it's the weekends. But again, for those that came a little bit later, my replays of all of my lives, if you go here and you go here, okay, if you boom and boom, if you do those things, I have all my lives since February the 2nd. That's when I started taking TikTok seriously and doing these videos. So they're all there under a TikTok playlist. Okay, so go ahead, screenshot this. I'm going to take it down in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Gotcha. All right. Flip the light on. Good. I like that. All right. Now, that is exponents. Okay. It's about interest on that and how to make money on interest. Yep. Because I used to do a personal finance. When I was in the classroom, I had personal finance Fridays, or we just called it Finance Fridays, where I would actually talk to them about mortgages. I would talk to them about like basic simple interest. I would talk to them about, you know, how much does it cost to have a kid? You will be shocked at the numbers that these kids be throwing. They're like, it takes $1 million to have a kid. And I'm like, if so, you would not be here. We are not paying no $1 million. And I was just talking about the first year that a child is born. Hilarious. And this whole thing of credit cards is free money. I don't know who planted that in their heads. No, stop it. Just stop it. So, but my thing is, it's not going to be in the curriculum because we want to keep people dumb. So you have to, if you're a teacher, you have to incorporate it in your lesson. If you want to do like a personal finance Friday, there are some free resources online. So you just have to do your research. You got to dig deep, okay? You got to dig deep. Do I do factoring at parties? Oh, I do a lot of grouping. Like, hey guys, let's do some factoring. Yeah, oh, I do it at parties. Straw penny. Just take care of me. A whole straw penny. Oh, wait, who was that? Burly Boy? Yes, I knew it was going to be Burly Boy. So silly of me to think it wasn't. All right. So if we can tap, there's 279 of us. I've been on since 10:30, so that's over 2 hours. Can we get it to like, I don't know, 30K? That would be so amazing. Can we all do a mad tap? You know, because look, you probably got here because you're FYP because people were tapping, some people that you're following. So if you guys can do that, that'll be amazing while I'm setting all this stuff up. Okay. Candy bar, yes. Okay, yes, I do tutoring. Things were cheaper in 1990s. I know, isn't it funny how we're saying things were cheaper back in 1990s, but we were complaining? Like gas was less than $1 a gallon? Like, come on. Yes, so if you guys are interested in tutoring, please message me. Okay, you could just send me a direct message, even though we're not following each other, but I always take a look at the requests. So I will definitely take a look at the requests today. Get down with factor. Oh, yay. You know me. Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. We're factoring my numbers and your numbers. And product. God. Hopefully you can help me out passing out. Okay. All right. Thank you for the message. Thank you. All right. Thank you. Oh my goodness. All right. So when you are factoring trinomials, okay, that's the only one. There's so many different types of factors. You'll have some with 2 terms, which you'll just factor out the GCF. There are some with 3 terms, which that's what we're going to work on today. And then you also have some with 4 terms. Now, the ones that I'm going to be working on is when your A is equal to 1 and when it's not equal to 1. And the reason why I'm doing factoring after we just did exponents, because eventually you're going to go into what's something that's called rational functions. So that is really going to be, the rational functions part is going to be for those that are in college algebra and advanced stuff. So that's what I'm going to be doing later. But these 2 concepts, factoring is a 4-point question on the GED. Factoring is a high-level question, meaning like around the 60s, okay, the 50s and 60s. That's where you want to go. I know for the ASVAB. So for the ASVAB, the minimum is like a 31. So if you start seeing factoring, you're doing pretty good, okay? So I want to show you how to break this down so you can continue to do pretty good and get more opportunities for whatever your career you want to do in the military. Now, and also you're definitely going to see this in the AccuPlacer, so it will place you up higher. We want to get you into college algebra if you're taking the AccuPlacer, because then now you're paying for a course that that's going to be accredited. All right. So first thing, we need to know that factoring is just basically the distribution in distributive property in reverse. That's all you're doing. Okay. But you're trying to see, 1, do you have a GCF? Anytime they tell you to factor, regardless if it's a binomial, a trinomial, whatever, just a polynomial, always look to see if you have something in common and factor that bad boy out. Okay, that should be always, anytime they say factoring, that should be your step 1. But let's take a look. So my first example is going to be x squared plus 6x plus 8. Okay, we are not solving. Okay, we're not solving. There's no equals 0. There's no functions. Oh, I need to do this and do all this stuff. No, we're just trying to break it down into factored form, aka my 2 parentheses. First off, the number that's in front of that x squared is a 1. So we have a 1, we have a 6, and we have an 8. So the 1, that's going to, because this whole thing is in what's called standard form. So standard form, let me put that above here, for those that don't know, is ax squared plus bx plus c. That's standard form. So when we're trying to solve this, we need to know, do we have a GCF? The only thing that 1, 6, and 8 have in common through multiplication is 1. So since my leading coefficient, because it has the highest degree, is 1, I'm going to go ahead and just split my variable, which is an x. So there's going to be 1x here and 1x here. Okay. Now, we need, and I like to draw a cross. Some people draw like a T, some people draw, I just like to draw a cross. And within this cross, I'm going to put my answer after I multiply my A and my C. That's going to go in this spot. And I'm going to rewrite my B, and that's going in this spot. So when I multiply my A and my C, that's 1 times 8. That gives me 8. Okay, let me show that part again. So it's 1 times 8. That gives me 8. I'm going to rewrite the b, which is 6. Okay. Now, this is the hardest part. Ready? If you don't understand and fully grasp your multiplication table, this is what always gets you. Okay? All right. So, we need to know what two numbers multiply to give me 8 and add to give me 6. So what are two numbers that multiply together to give me an 8 and add together to give me a 6? Okay, so when it comes to factoring, guys, do not blink, okay? Okay, get them toothpicks underneath those eyes. Do not blink. All right, so Rihanna, we got 4 and 2. Like the Rihanna? Oh, no, it's an I. Okay, I got excited. All right, Kaya with 2 and 4. Okay, Simplify, saying 4 and 2. Angela, 4 and 2. Good. Chase and Wife, 4 and 2. Good. It's all right, Janie. It's okay. We're going to get through it. Don't let that hatred hold you back from what you want to do. Okay, sometimes we got to do hard things to get what we really want. All right, so two numbers will give me 4 and 2. 4 times 2 will give me a positive 8. 4 plus 2 will give me 6. So the two numbers that we just found, I'm going to use them to put into my parenthesis. So I can put my positive 4 here, so that'll be a plus 4. And that's a positive 2, so I'm going to put a plus 2. This is your factored form. Okay. All right. Yep. Okay. So 4 times 2. Okay, you see it now. Okay. 4 times 2 gives me 8. And 4 plus 2 gives me 6. Now, when you're looking for those two factors, it has to satisfy both situations. All right? So, let me go over it with another one. Let's say, yeah, we can do that one. Okay. So I'll try to leave this one up here as a guide. So we have x squared plus 8x plus 15. Okay. If it helps, because sometimes I like to do this, I like to just off to the side list what is my A, what is my B, and what is my C. The A is always the coefficient of your x squared. If you don't see anything, it's a 1. Your B is always the coefficient of the x. So my B is 8. And the C is always your constant. That's not next to an x. So my C is 15. So now I'm going to, since my leading coefficient, the number in front of that x squared is 1, I can just go right ahead and split my x's. The reason why there's 2, because my exponent is 2. That means I should have 2 solutions technically. Okay? Now, getting with my little x. I'm going to multiply my A and my C, multiply my B. So when I multiply my A and my C, that's 1 times 15. That gives me 15. And then I rewrite my B, which is 8. So now I need to know what two numbers multiply will give me 15 and add to give me 8. Okay, awesome. So I'm seeing a C of 3s and 5s, 3s and 5s, 3s and 5s, 3s and 5s, 3s and 5s. Good. All right. Just see what's going into. Yes. Seeing what's going into. So it's not going to be the 7 and 8. It's going to be 3 and 5. Because 3 times 5 gives me 15. And 3 plus 5 gives me 8. Okay. So that means the two numbers that we just found right here, those two factors, they're going to go inside the parenthesis. So you can say x plus 3, and you can say x plus 5. Now, since we're dealing with multiplication, if you wrote x plus 5 and then x plus 3, that's perfectly fine. Because multiplication is what's called commutative. You can, whatever, if you flip, if you go 3 times 5 or 5 times 3, it still gives you 15. And then this is your factor form. Okay. Yep. Andy. All right. Yep. So it doesn't matter which one. Oh, just answer that. Yep. Trig is okay. Trig is actually kind of fun. Am I going to be live tomorrow morning? Yes, at 11 o'clock. And I think I'm going to be doing either SAT prep or HES prep. I can't remember. HESI. I can't forget. HESI/T's test. Okay, good. Yep, I am going to be doing another one. All right. Hello, welcome. All right. So, let's try this one. So we have x squared minus 3x minus 18. Raise this up a little bit. So we have x squared minus 3x minus 18. Okay. Any pointers, good videos, or websites to learn it? To learn what? Alex, what would you like to learn? Because I don't see your first part. So x is your variable. Trig? That's going to be a toughie. Yeah, because I don't have too much trig on my stuff. All right. Okay, problem toddy. All right, so first thing, my A, my B, and my C. Let's just get louder. Oh, no. Okay. So, my A is always the coefficient of the x squared, which is 1. My B is always the coefficient of the x, which is a negative 3. And my C is the constant with its signage, so negative 18. Since my leading coefficient is 1, I can go ahead and split the variable, which in this case is still x. So now, to help me figure out what the other factors are going to be, I'm going to multiply the A and the C and rewrite our B. So the A and the C is 1 times negative 18, which gives me a negative 18, and rewrite my B, which is a negative 3. So, since this number is a negative number, that means one of my factors is going to have to be negative. Okay? And when I say add together, that's going to have to add together to give me my negative 3. Although the signs are opposite, you're still dealing with multiplication and you're still dealing with addition. Nope, just the A and the C is what you multiply, Toddy. Okay. The bigger number is going to be negative. Thank you, Kaya. There you go. All right, okay. So now let's think of multiplication. What two numbers multiplied together will give me a negative 18? Okay, Manny's saying negative 6 and 3. Okay, Kaya said negative 6 and 3. Sasha saying 6. Clarissa saying negative 6 and 3. Ashley negative 6 and 3. Toddy 6 and negative 3. Remember, Toddy, we said the larger number is going to be negative. Okay, Angela saying negative 6 and 3. Addicted is saying negative 6 and positive 3. Did I skip somebody? Yes, I did. Tracy, negative 6 and positive 3. Daniel is giving us the positive 3 and negative 6. And Gamble is saying 3 and 9. Okay, no problem. There you go, negative 6 and 3. Because if I do negative 6 times positive 3, I'm going to get my negative 18. But if I do negative 6 plus 3, I'm going to get negative 3. Think of it this way. You owe me $6. You were so gracious to give me $3. But guess what? You still owe me $3. Okay? So that's why this works for both multiplication and addition. So all you're doing is putting your answer inside. So you got your x minus 6 and your x plus 3. Now if it's switched, remember it's commutative. It's perfectly fine. Okay. All right, good. All right, let's try. Let's see if you guys can get this one. All right, so this one, I want you guys to do it. Do it to the best of your ability. It's okay. No freaking out. I'm not going to put any fractions in it, not just yet. Okay, we're going to keep it nice and simple. All right. Okay, let me raise this up a bit so you can see it. Let me angle something. Ah. Okay, so x squared plus 4x minus 32. Okay, we're going to do the same process, Toddy. We'll be doing the same process. Okay. Okay, I want you to tell me what my final answer is. All right, thank you so much. Just want to give people some time to think, because I know there's some that are going to be like, yeah, I got it, I got it, I got it. Get some people to process. And if you would like to tap while we're waiting, that would be fabulous. Let's see if we can get it up to like around 40. That would be awesome. Thank you for those who have been tapping. I appreciate it. Okay. And thank you for the gifts, everyone. I appreciate that. Not in this case, Toddy. Not in this case. Okay. Living my life. Who's living my life? Living my life. Is living my life Reed? If it is, Miss Reed, hello. All right. Okay. Let's take a look. Oh, it is. I was like, wait, living my life, living my life. Who's that? All right. Yes, a positive times a negative turns into a positive. No, a positive times a negative is negative. When the signs are opposite with multiplication or division, it's always going to be negative. When the signs are the same with multiplication and division, your answer is always going to be positive. Okay. All right, so we have x squared plus 4x minus 32. My a value is in front of the x squared, so that's a 1. The b is the 4. And the c is my constant with the signage, so that's a negative 32. So we are going, once we have our leading coefficient is a 1, we're just going to split our x's. Once we do that, multiply our a and our c, we get negative 32. But this time my b is a positive 4. So that negative is actually going to go with the lowest number this time. Okay? So there's always patterns with math. That's one thing I do like about math. When you have two negatives, that means one of your answer, the larger number, is going to carry the negative. When you have a negative and a positive, that means one of your answers, the lowest one, is going to carry the negative. So two numbers multiply to get me negative 32 and add to get me positive 4. So a lot of you guys were saying 8 and negative 4. Negative 4 is the lowest. Oops. Almost did the wrong color there. And then a positive 8. Because negative 4 times 8 gives me negative 32. Negative 4 plus 8 gives me a positive 4. So if I had $8 and I spent 4, that means I still have $4 in my pocket. That's a good thing. So we're going to take our negative 4 and our 8, and we're going to put it in our parentheses. Okay. So if you wrote x plus 8 first and then x minus 4, that's fine, because remember, multiplication is commutative. Okay, you get it? All right. Okay. Okay. Try to factor that. Try to factor that. Think about it. Take a look. You could. Oh, good. I'm so happy. I'm glad this is making sense. And I think it's because, yeah, there's 183 of us here, but we're probably in a room by ourselves. Not that much distraction. And then you have one teacher. It just seems to work. Okay. Yep. No stress. You don't have to worry about an exam. Like, am I going to graduate if I don't get this? It's not like Squid Games. I'm seeing some very interesting answers. Okay. Hey, Michael. Thank you for the Squid Games reference. My lovely little stickers. Okay, back for a minute. Appreciate it. No, it's not the wrong question. Yes, Amberly. Amber. Okay. Okay. There you go. Okay. Hello, Juan Diego. Welcome back. I remember you from before. Jazz is saying x plus 4, x plus 12. Ooh. All right, Amberly. There we go. Amber. Amber. So, let me put you out of your misery. Now, remember in the very beginning, well, probably some of you guys weren't here, but here we are. Anytime they ask you to factor, you should always think, do I have a GCF? That should always be your first thought. So now, with that little bit of information, let me turn this on because the sun has shifted. Okay. Do we have a GCF? Okay. Tracy's got it. We got her too. Danielle's got it. There we go. All right. So we need to factor out, because 16, 2, 16, and 24, 1, they're all even. And we're going to factor out a 2. Then take a quick look, because sometimes they might all have x's, but that 24 doesn't, so we're good. So what we're going to do next is we're going to divide the original by 2. So 2 divided by 2 gives me 1. X squared, we don't have any x's down here, so this is going to be 1x squared or just x squared. Bring down my plus sign, because 16x divided by 2, that's going to give me 8x. Then we have a positive 24 divided by 2. So 24 divided by 2, that gives me a plus 12. Okay. I know for sure a lot of you guys were doing the x's and you had a 48 in there because you multiplied the a and the c and you did 2 times 24, that gave me 48, and you're sitting here killing yourself trying to figure out which two numbers will add together to give me 16. Yep. All right. So if we factor out, now we're going to look just with what's inside the parenthesis. So this 2, I like to call it my trifling ass friend, because I got quite a few of them. They're the ones that are like, yo, we should go out, and they have no money. Yo, we should go to the movies. They have no money for the movies, but yet they want snacks. Yo, we should just go driving around and see what's up. But they have no gas money. Okay? Love them. Love. Mwah, mwah. But yeah, pain in the neck. So we're going to factor them out for a second. Okay? So now, just inside of this parenthesis, this is my A, this is my C. So now instead of dealing with a 48, now I'm dealing with a 12. So much easier, right? Okay. Rewriting my B, which is an 8. So just like we've been doing and talking about, we want to know what two numbers multiplied will give me 12 and add together to give me 8. And since both of them are positive, we don't have to worry too much about signage. It's only when you have a negative and a positive and negative, okay? So we got 6 and 2s, 6 and 2s, 6 and 2s. All right? Because if you do 6 times 2, that'll give me my 12. If you do 6 plus 2, that'll give me my 8. So just with the parentheses, we still are going to have our 2 sets of parentheses, and we're still going to split our x's. So the two numbers that we just found, we're putting them inside the parentheses. So we got our plus 6 and our plus 2. But they're still a friend. Don't forget about your trifling ass friend. Gotta bring them down. Now it's factored. Okay, let me raise that up a little bit so you guys can see. Jenny! How are you, Jenny? Good morning. Well, for you, good morning. For me, good afternoon. And I'm wondering why I'm getting a headache all of a sudden. Oh yeah, Audrey. You haven't eaten all day. You haven't eaten since what, 10 o'clock last night? Weird. Get yourself together. No problem. Good. What do I do with the 24? Well, we factored it out. Because 2, 16, and 24, they all had 2 in common. That's why there's a 2 out here. And you divide the original by that 2. So 2x squared divided by 2 gives me x squared. 16x divided by 2 gives me 8x. And 24 divided by 2 gave me 12. So now we're not messing with the original. Now we're looking at inside the parenthesis. That's how, I gotta get a smaller piece. That's how we got our 12, because our A is 1, our C is 12. That's where the 12 came from. And the B is the 8. So then we just did our multiplying. 6 times 2 gives me 12. And then 6 plus 2 gives me 8. Okay. Jacinda, how are you? So if there's a if there's a GCF, you always divide that bad boy out. Make life easier for yourselves. So much easier for yourselves. Okay. I know, right, Michael? Oh, well, thank you. Oh, my goodness. Thank you. Hitting my goals. Thank you, Reed. Appreciate ya. Okay. Thank you. Is this pre-calc? Not really. It's mostly like late Algebra 1, early Algebra 2. Pre-calc does do some things with factoring. Okay. All right. Hello, Big Charlie. All right. So we're almost done. Almost done. Now, this is when our A value was 1. We can do the same process when our A value is not 1. Okay? So, if you need to take a breather, this is a perfect time to stand up. Get a nice big stretch before we get into this, because you're going to need to pay attention. You're going to need, oh, that was a nice crack. You're going to need to get your multiplication together. Now, as you guys are stretching, getting a little breather. Will you learn this in Algebra 1? Yes, you will, Toddy. Oh, and so much more. Yeah, I can't even go get a snack. Not just yet. All right. Now, while you guys are getting what you're stretching on, now I was told you, well, if I haven't, this is my notebook. Okay, so I actually designed this notebook. So if you're like wondering, oh, where are these pages coming from? I want to get these as well. So they're all in my Algebra 1 notebook. But the best thing about this, and this is the thing that I love, is my resource pages in the back. If you are struggling with getting your factors, I have a list of factors in the very back from 1 all the way to 200. So like when you were trying to figure out your factors of 48, let's use that for an example. Okay, I would go back here, which I didn't, but I could go back here and look at my factors of 48. You got 1 and 48, 2 and 24, 3 and 16, 4 and 12, and 6 and 8. So we were trying to figure out what was going to take that 16. You could have used 4 and 12. Okay? So this is just give you a whole list of those factors that you can just grab and snag those things. All right? Otherwise, they have all these other resources, problems, inequalities, taking a look which direction goes which way, because some people still get it confused. The interval notation, order of operations, exponents. It's all here. Thank you so much, Miss Reed. Okay, and then we have the decimals, we have the fractions, we have the place values, looking at distance, speed, and time, mean, median, mode, okay, arithmetic and geometric sequence, system of equations, system of inequalities, like all the stuff and the formulas that you actually see in Algebra and Algebra 1. So as a reminder. So all of it is in one book. All right. So if you are interested in that, hey, you can get it from the big A. The A is the brown box with the smile on it. You know what I'm talking about. It's also a rainforest. There you go. You can order it there, or you can order, because then you can get it a lot quicker since I don't have the sale anymore. But you can also go and order it here as well. Okay, so I have this one that is for Algebra 1, But I also have one that's for Algebra 2 and pre-calculus. Okay, so everything else is the same. It's just the resources are a little bit different. You got some with the logarithmic. We got acceleration and velocity. We got the conic section, the unit circle. Everyone's going to love that in Algebra 2. A little bit of pre-calc. The trig identities, as well as Pythagorean's theorem and the trig functions. And last but not least, Pascal's triangle. Okay, gotta love that. All right, so then a little bit with the complex numbers. So this one is for Algebra 2 and pre-calc, whereas the one that we're working on, the pink and yellow, is for Algebra 1 and Algebra. Okay. All right. And if you're looking for a lefty, if you're a lefty, I got you. I also have a notebook designed, same stuff, but it's designed for my lefties out there. Okay? But the left-handed book, Amazon won't let you create it. It just wouldn't. So if you want the left-handed book, you have to go here. All right? Okay, I'm going to take it down in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. There you go. All right? Yeah, I have 2 parents that are left-handed. So 2 lefts made me. Somewhat, not really ambidextrous, but you know, I can do some things. I'm still discovering all of my gifts. All right. Okay. Well, don't be scared. That's why we have resources. And I'm working on some other things as well. Now, let's work this. My suggestion, put your pencils down. Okay, just put them down, relax, and let me walk you through how to solve it when A is not equal to 1. Okay, so we have, here we go. Let's say 3x squared minus 5x minus 12. Okay. So I'm going to zoom in just a little bit. Everyone take a breather. Woosah. We got this. All right. Taking it step by step. So we're still listing my A, my B, and my C. So my A is still going to be 3. My B is negative 5. And my C is negative 12. Okay, that's normal. Nothing has changed there. Still going to do our X. Okay, so that's not unusual. Still going to have our AC. Still going to have our B. Okay. But this time, my A is 3. My C is negative 12. So what's 3 times negative 12? Okay. Okay. What's 3 times negative 12? Thank you, Jordan. Here we go. We got our negative 36. And we rewrite our B, which is negative 5. Okay. Everything seems pretty cool so far. Good. Hey, Jess. How are you? Hey, Cindy. Welcome back. Okay, Jazz, we got another Jazz. Yes, we got a negative 36. Beautiful. So now, what 2 numbers? Okay, so far everything sounds pretty normal, right? Just like we did for the other one. So what 2 numbers multiplied together will give me a negative 36 and add together to give me a negative 5? Okay, you're not dumb. Stop it. Because you got the negative 36. There we go. All right, Bridget. How are you? All right. So you're saying negative 9 and a positive 4. Okay. So positive 9 and negative 4. Negative 9, positive 4. There we go. Thank you for the roses. All right. So since both of these are negative, that means my highest number is going to be negative. So we have 9, and 4. Okay? Negative 9 times 4 gives me negative 36. Negative 9 plus 4, that gives me a negative 5. Now, this is where it gets a little different. Because I can't just go ahead and split my x's because that 3 is there. If it was a 1 or we didn't see anything, boom, split the x's, put your answers down, then you're done. But this is when it gets a little hairy, scary. Not really scary, but it gets different because every teacher teaches this section completely different. Some people will say, all right, I'm going to rewrite this and I'm going to show you 2 ways and you pick which way you feel comfortable with. Okay, let's start there. So most teachers will say, all right, let's rewrite this problem. And what we're going to do, we have our 3x squared. But what we're going to do is we're going to replace the middle term, that negative 5x, and we're going to replace it with the 2 terms that we found. So this is what they're going to do. They're going to put a negative 9x and a positive 4x. And they bring down the negative 12. Okay? How they want to solve it, if you're solving it this way, you're solving it by what's called grouping. Okay? Okay, so it's kind of like, all right, we want to see how we can get the original parentheses. Yes, because that's what factoring is. You're doing the distributive property in reverse. So in order for them to do this, just watch, breathe, just watch. A lot of people are like, nope, that's too hard, I'm out. You can't run away from it. Because especially if you're going for your GED, this is a 4-point question. Okay, it's hard for a reason. But wouldn't it be nice once you get that 4-point question and you get that GED and then you can go and do whatever you want to do? So this is what we have to do. We have to get comfortable with uncomfortable situations. So we're going to group the first 2 numbers. Then we're going to group the last 2 numbers. Okay. Take one parenthesis at a time. What's my GCF for this parenthesis? Put that into the chat. Okay, I know you're almost out the door. Sit your butt down. You'll be fine. Okay, so I'm seeing a lot of people with 3s, but I'm also seeing some 3x's. There we go. Yep, the GCF, the greatest common factor. So there you go. 3 and 9, we have 3 in common. But there's an x squared here, and there's 1x there. So they have 1x in common. So now, we're going to do just like we did the other one. We're going to take this original and divide by 3x. Well, 3 divided by 3 gives me 1. And if I have 2 x's here, we can think of it this way. If I have 2 x's here and I pulled one of those x's out, that means I have 1x remaining. All right, I'll do that again. 3 divided by 3 gives me 1. I have 2 x's here. I took 1x out, so that gives me 1x remaining. Now, I have a negative 9 divided by 3. That gives me a negative 3. And I have 1x here, and I pulled 1x out. That means I don't have any x's left. So those that told me those x minus 3's, yes. Yes, you can, Toddy. You can put a 1 in front of that x. That's perfectly fine. The reason why I don't is because I know there's a 1 there. But that's fine. You can do that. Okay? That took care of that parenthesis. Now, we need to take care of this parenthesis. Since my leading coefficient is positive, it's a plus sign, I'm bringing that plus sign down. So now I have my 4x minus 12x. What do they have in common? There you go. Yep. So we got Kevin, Toddy, good, addicted, yes. Cindy, good. Jazz, yes. Kevin, I see you, yes. Jess, I see you. Trace, good. Jen, yes. Desi, good. Angela, Lakaya, good. So we're going to pull out a 4. So now we're going to divide, not a 4x, because that negative 12 does not have an x. So it's just a 4. Let's divide. 4x divided by 4 gives me 1x, or just x. And then this negative 12, okay, negative 12 divided by 4, that gives me a negative 3. Okay, minus signs can act as negatives. So, let me cover this part up. What do you notice? What do you notice? We got twinsies, right? Yes. Okay. Inside that parenthesis, x minus 3. We both parentheses are x minus 3. Good. Okay. That is your GCF of this line. So we're basically taking the GCF of each of the parentheses. That's how we got here. But now we're going to take the GCF of this line. Now here's a helpful hint. Your parentheses should always be exactly the same if you're doing it by grouping. So that means I'm going to bring down my x minus 3. Now, what remains is this 3x and this plus 4. So what remains, I'm going to put them and gather them up and put them in their own parenthesis. So that's 3x plus 4. This is your factored form. Okay. All right. So this is factoring by grouping. What became of it? Everything was normal. Once we figured out what those two factors were, you replaced it with your negative 5x. So that's what in red came from. The negative 9x and the plus 4 were these factors that we found up here. Then you want to group the first two, group the last two, find the GCF for each of the parentheses, and then divide it by its original. So 3x squared minus 9x is what we divided to get this. Okay. Yep. I know, exactly. So, Jess made an awesome point. He's saying you put them left. Yep. And you can do either way. You can collect what's outside the parentheses and put that in the first parenthesis, and then what their GCF would be at the second. That's fine. Because remember, this is multiplication. It's commutative. Okay? Of course. We all need more practice, right? Literally sat this all out. Okay? All right. So, that's one way of doing it. You're like, wow, that's one way. Yes. Another way of doing it is called the AC method. Basically, covering this part up. This beginning piece is exactly the same. So I'm going to slide over and I'm going to show you the AC method. And I didn't name it after myself, I swear to you. Okay. So with the AC method, you're basically doing everything the same, finding your factors, but the next part is what's different. Instead, I'm going to draw two ratios. I'm going to draw two fractions. And you're like, what? Okay, just draw two fractions. Now, the first fraction, basically the numerators of both of these fractions is going to be your a value, which we have as a 3, and the variable that they're using in the original expression, which is x. And I'm going to write it out twice because this is telling me I should have two solutions. So I'm writing in the numerator 3x, 3x. Now, your denominator is going to be the two factors that you found from the x. So one of them is going to be a -9 for one and a +4 for the other. So from here, I'm looking at them as two fractions. And what we know about fractions, we want them to be reduced. We're not adding them together or anything. We want to be able to reduce our fractions. Well, 3/9 has a 3 in common. 3 divided by 3 gives me 1. -9 divided by 3, that's a -3. Okay. Now, 3x over 4, they're at its lowest term. The only thing that 3 and 4 have in common is a 1. Ready for this? This is basically your answer. So let's take a look. We have our two parentheses. This first fraction, which is a 1x minus 3. And this second fraction is going to be your second parenthesis. Always start with the numerator. So it's 3x plus 4. What do you notice? Hey, Marveline. The reason why I want to assume, okay, the reason why a lot of teachers push this way, and it's because some people are afraid of fractions. Now, guys, fractions is nothing but division, okay? And you can always reduce a fraction by what number they have in common. Over here, a lot of people don't push this, which they should. I don't know why. Because it gets to your answers so much quicker. Okay? And especially if we take it step by step. Okay? So let's try a couple more. And let me introduce you mostly to the world of the AC method. Now, do I want to undermine your teachers? No, I do not. Okay? But especially for those that are taking the GED, the ASVAB, the AccuPlacer, the HESI, the TEAS test, the IBEW, any type of test that's going to have algebra in it and you're going to have factoring, try to get with the AC method. Okay, so we're going to go. Let me move this, give you guys some time to copy. Let me shrink it just a lot so you can copy that down. And then I'm going to get myself set up for the next problem. Oh my goodness. Whew. Okay, you like the first way? Awesome. The abracadabra method. All right. I never heard it called abracadabra. The abracadabra method. Let's do it. All right. So So let's get with, come here. All right. And with the AC method, it doesn't matter if your A is positive or negative. You're going to get the same answer. So I know a lot of people are like, no, you should factor out the 3 or you should factor out the negative. And some people say, no, you can leave the negative in there. It's going to be like what option is going to be available. Okay. All right. So I'm going to write down our A, our B, and our C. I'm probably going to do another one after this one, and then I'm going to be like, peace out, Holmes. So I don't think I'm going to go on this afternoon because we're working on almost hour 5. Good gosh. Just looked up. I'm like, oh. Okay. Plus I'm starting to feel faint. Okay. Lack of nutrition. All right. So let me zoom. So we're going to number 2, or the second one. My A is 8. My B is 10. And my C is 3. Okay? The A is always the coefficient of x squared. The B is the coefficient of the x. And the C is the 3. Okay? So now we're going into our cross. So you're going to multiply your A and your C. That goes in the top. And then we have our B, which goes in the bottom. Okay. AC, that means you're multiplying your A and your C. That gives us 24. Rewriting our B, which is 10. Okay, sit and watch. So, what two numbers multiplied together will give me 24, and add together will give me 10. Okay, Madison saying 6 and 4. Tracy saying 4 and 6. Addictive 4 and 6. Bree 6 and 4. Kevin 6 and 4. Take a look at it again. Gamble. Angela 4 and 6. Okay. Is that Kinunthia? Is it new or nay? 64. Reed 64. Marvelly 64. Rosette 64. Ubuntu 64. And you're saying, Bree, it's not 6 and 4? Okay. All right. Thank you. Kinuthia. Like that. Okay. No, it is 6 and 4. Why you got the question mark? What, am I making you paranoid? I'm just reading everyone's solution, trying to give them a little bit of taste. All right. So you can say 6 and 4. Because 6 times 4 gives me 24. And 6 plus 4 gives me 10. All right. So now we're going into the ratios. Let me put it here so you can see everything all at once. What goes in the numerator is your A and the variable. So our A is 8. So you have 8x, 8x. What goes in the denominator are the factors that you found. One's going to have a 6. Other one's going to have a 4. Okay. Now, let's reduce our two fractions. So, covering this up, we have 8 and 6. 8 and 6, they're both even numbers. They're divisible by 2. So 8 divided by 2 will give us a 4. And 6 divided by 2 will give us a 3. Now you're doing the same thing, reducing over here. We have 8 and 4, so it should be reduced by 4. Because 8 divided by 4, that gives me a 2. And 4 divided by 4 will give me a 1. So we basically have our 2 parentheses. So the first parenthesis is, always start with the numerator, with the first parenthesis. So we have 4x, that was the numerator, and the denominator is a positive 3, so plus 3. Second parenthesis, we have 2x, that was the numerator, plus 1. And that's your answer. Yep. Yay! Okay. Thank you, thank you. You feel smart because you are smart. And then when you finally come up with that, Toddy, when you finally have that in class, you can be like, let me teach you, people. Let me show you this thing called the AC method. Be the talk of the town. Awesome, you got it. There it is. There it is. You know, it's all about the wins, guys. It's all about the little wins. What you want in life, go after it. All right, so here we go. Can I leave you alone with 1? If you screw some things up, that's fine. I don't even know why I say screw things up, because you're not furniture, okay? Let's see if you guys can do it. I will leave this one up here as a reference, but I want you to try, okay? Okay, give this one a try. So 2x squared minus 5x plus 3. Okay, tell me my factors. The abracadabra method. Oh, good. All right, not a problem. Not a problem. Enjoy. Yes, that's fine. Hey, we're here for practice. Okay, so give me my final answers. So I want to see your thought process all the way through. In fact, hold your answer. You can type it, but don't hit enter until I tell you to, because I want to see everyone's answers. So I want to give people time to think, okay? So let me hush so you guys can think. Thank you, Ash. You'll be all right. You're going to be okay. Now you know I'm here. You're not alone anymore. This is how you can find me. Just go ahead and subscribe. If you do, like, comment, share, that'd be awesome. Yes, I do. Face-to-face, I do one-to-one online, because my schedule doesn't handle face-to-face. Or in person, I should say. Yeah, I do mine through Zoom calls. Okay. Mattis, did you get it? Okay, there we go. Okay, all right, so hold on. Usually, depending on what the course is, sometimes Cash App, Venmo, but you know. Sorry, I'm starting to get a headache. Like, so I got this and one more, and then we're done. Okay, no problem. Okay. 20 seconds, I'm going to have you flash up your answers. Yep. So there's the link there. All right, put your answers in. Let's see. Trying to figure it out, Jordan. She's like, I confused myself. I'm like, no, take your time. If you need more time, take your time. Okay? Okay. Okay. So if you do have an answer, you can put it up. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Now remember, this is the time. Thank you, Angela. This is the time that we're practicing it. Like, this is the first time you're seeing it. You know? I'm not expecting, like, perfectionism. I'm not expecting any of that. I just want you to at least try. No answer yet? Okay. It's so confusing. Okay. So the key is for us to get that multiplication. So, my A, what's my A, my B, and my C? Put that into the chat, please. I mean, the AC method's been around for a while. So we got, all right, our A is 2. Good. Our B is -5. Thank you. And our C is 3. Awesome. Now, we're going to multiply our A and our C. What do we get when we multiply our A and our C? Okay, we got our 6s. Thank you, everyone. Then we're rewriting our B, which is -5. So we need to think what two numbers multiply will give us a +6 and add together to give us a -5. I have a feeling a lot of people switch this. That's just my notion. There you go. I had a feeling. So we have our -3 and -2. Because negative times a negative gives me a positive. 3 times 2 gives me 6. -3 plus -2 gives me a -5. So that's why our two factors are going to be -3 and -2. All right. 1 and 6. If you do 1 and 6, both of the 1 and the 6 has to be negative. So if I add that together, that will give me a -7. Okay. So now let's get with our ratios. I'm going to come down here a little bit. So we got our two ratios. We're going to put our a and the variable as the numerators. So you have your 2x and your 2x. And then we're going to write down the factors that we got underneath our for our denominator. So we have -3 and -2. Well, taking a look, 2 and -3, just the 2 and the 3, they only have 1 in common, so that's fine. But we have 2 and -2, they both have 2 in common, so 2 divided by 2 will give me 1. -2 divided by 2 will give me a -1. So from here, now we can do our parentheses. So the first ratio is your first parenthesis. So 2x minus 3. And the second ratio is our second parenthesis, which is 1x, or you can just say x minus 1. That's your answer. Okay. Do you see what happened? Okay. Got it right? Good. Okay. Finally understand. Oh, you're a different person. Okay. Michael, we don't want any. Thank you, though. Because no one ever does it. Okay. You got it right? Good. Good. You understand it? Good. All right. Okay, you switch the numbers. Yep. Now, here's my thing. If you wrote x minus 1 and then 2x minus 3, that's still right because this is multiplication. Multiplication is commutative. So if you wrote parenthesis x minus 1 and then 2x minus 3, then you got your answer. Okay? All right. So let's do one more that you guys are going to do, and then we're done for today. Okay, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Because some of you guys have been with me since 10:30 this morning. Dogs haven't been fed. Fish is like starting to go belly up. Like, I need to go, Audrey. Like, just because you got time, like, trust me. That's why I'll be up so late, because of all of the shenanigans. All right, so one more, and I'm going to have you guys do it. Not that one. Yeah, we can do this. So we have 5x squared plus 14x minus 3. Okay, go ahead. Tomorrow I'll be on at 11 a.m. Saturdays I come on at 10:30. Sundays I'll come on at 11 a.m. I'm usually not on this long. I don't know what got to me, but here we are. I think it's the new vitamins I'm taking. Taking vitamins on an empty stomach. Woo! Okay. Yes, 11 a.m. Okay. What about Monday? So far, unless I have a client, so far I will be on at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But that's only for like an hour because I have clients I'm trying to get. Okay. All right, and then try again. It is factory. Yep, so we're just doing some factoring. Put it down here because I'm running out of room. Okay. Oh, thank you for the roses. I appreciate it, guys. And all the taps. Over 50K. Thank you. Yeah, you can try again. I didn't see your first one. Okay, you got midterms next week. What class are you taking, Terry? We are factoring. Alpha, that's what we're doing. College algebra. Okay, so if they gave you a review packet, make sure you do the review packet, not the night before that you're about to take the test. Take a look at some of the ones that are missing or some of the ones that you just didn't know and review your notes. What I mean by reviewing your notes, taking a separate sheet of paper, writing down the problem that's already in your notes and try to work it out on a separate sheet of paper so you can use your notes as an answer key. Okay. Okay, you're in college algebra this semester as well? Okay. All right. Go ahead and flash up what your answers are. If you already have your answers. Okay, flash up. Oh, it did? Oh, good, Janice. Nice. Oh my gosh. That's been a minute. Oh, goodness. Oh, I'm so happy for you. Okay, so we're going to build up that confidence, right? Because we're getting this. We're getting this way before Thanksgiving. Yeah, you got this. There you go, Madison. What notebook do I use? So right now I'm using my Algebra 1 notebook. Okay, that I've actually created. It's called the Ultimate Math Notebook. And I'll show you what it looks like as soon as we finish with this problem. Okay. All right. Any guesses? All right. So you like the grid? Yep. We have grid and we have dots. So my A is 5, my B is 14, my C is a -3. So to fill in this spot, we need to multiply my A and my C, which is -15. I know there's a lot of people that have an answer, but you're just afraid to put it up. That's okay. It's okay. Then we're going to rewrite our B, which is 14. Now we have to think, what two numbers multiplied will give me -15 and add to give me a +14. And I think it was Madison that mentioned, oh, well, we got 15 and 1, but the 1 is going to be negative. Because 15 times -1 gives me -15, and 15 plus a -1, that gives me 14. Okay. I just see what you have for your A, B, and your C. All right. So now we're going to set up our two ratios. The numerator is going to be your A plus a variable. So you have 5x here and you have 5x here. What goes in the denominator are the two factors that you just found. So you got 15 here and -1 there. So now the two ratios, let's see if we need to reduce them. So 5/15, they both have 5 in common. So divide it. So 5 divided by 5, that gives me 1. 15 divided by 5, that gives me 3. Now my 5 and the -1, they don't have to be reduced because the only thing that 5 and 1 has in common is 1. So this is representing one of your parentheses. So you have your 1x or x plus 3. The other parenthesis is dealing with the other fraction. So that starts with my 5x minus 1. And that's your answer. Because we need two ratios alpha, that's why it can't be 5x squared. The square is going to account for the two x's. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to factor them so they can be in their own individual parenthesis. Okay, D, you're right. Okay, there you go, Toddy. No problem. Okay, so we have to get what two numbers multiplied together to give me the -15. Okay, because AC is 5 times -3. AC means A multiplied by C. So then we had to figure out what factors multiply together to give me -15 and add together to give me 14. Okay. Multiply 5 times -3. That's how we got the -15. Okay. Yeah, it's been around for years. That's what's so interesting. Yeah, that's not my jam. That's more calculus. Especially when you go into the sign of functions, like pre-calc. How to know when to use the grid? What do you mean know when to use the grid? Okay, not a problem. the rows. I mean, no. Who said that? Anna. Okay, not a problem. Okay, how did you get 5x, 5x? Because your numerator is always going to be your a and the variable that you're using. So my a was 5, the variable I'm using is x. So you got 5x, 5x. The reason why you're writing it out twice is because of your exponent. Your exponent is to the second. Okay. Okay, we did the same thing with this one. My a was 2, so we did 2 and 2 and x and x. This one we have 8. Then we have 8 and x, 8 and x. Okay. All right. So this is going to be fun downloading. This is probably going to take me till like maybe 11 o'clock at night to completely download, but it will be there. So if anything, couple of things, as I said, this is my notebook that I designed. So it gives you room for you to write your formulas, to write your steps, and then some sections where you can do some work here, as well as doing with the grid on the other side. So the reason why I do some of the dots, because it just makes it a lot streamlined, especially when I start going into graphing, because now I can actually graph points a little bit clearer, and my spacing is pretty much on point. But I also have the grid side, just in case people like the grid side better. So you put all of your work in there. You can put all of your steps on one side and then your formulas. Now, in addition to this, as I mentioned, you have in the back, not too far in the back, you have your resource pages. So if you have trouble with multiplication, guys, I'm telling you, and I'm saying this out of love, if you're trying to do factoring, you need to know your multiplication tables. Okay, that's the only way. Okay, so if not, you do have this factor sheet from 1 all the way to 200, which can kind of help you with that quest. Then I also have the squares and the square roots and the cubes and the cube roots, because sometimes those cube root things come up, and that's a good 4-point question for GED. And it definitely shows up in the ASVAB and the TEAS test and so forth. And then we have all these other resources, you know, inequalities, interval notation, the rules for integers. So just in case you couldn't remember, we got for addition, subtraction, and multiplication and division. Multiplication and division is a little bit easier because it's the same rules for both. Okay. Then you have your linear and your quadratic, order of operations, decimal operations, fraction operations with adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing. Okay, all that in there. What happens if you have to do a little conversion from percent to decimals, fraction to decimal, percent to fractions? Okay, all that's listed right here, what to do. Values chart. Okay, we got our measure central tendencies. We have the arithmetic and geometric sequence, system of equations, system of inequalities, area and perimeter and circumference for the circle. Okay, Pythagorean theorem, volume, surface area. Okay, and also conversion. Okay, especially for my people that are TEAS test, HESI test, boom. Everyone else, you're going to see a lot from the lengths and the heights. You might see a mass, but you're definitely going to be seeing volume and capacity. You'll see a lot from these two, volume, capacity, and then height and length. All right, so I put it all in one book. This one is for Algebra 1 and Algebra. Then I have this book, which is for Algebra 2. Basically, very much the setup. Algebra 2 pre-calculus, but the only thing is the backing is a little bit different. Some of the resources, we got log and exponential. We also have the conic sections, the unit circle, which they're going to be loving in a few months. Then you have your same reference circle, but what's different is I look at the sine and the cosine, and also we have the sine rule and the cosine rule for us to find our angles and our sides. Then we have the trig identities, all of the identities, even the double angles is being represented, and then Pascal's triangle. Okay, so we have all of these. Okay, the green one is for the advanced, that's Algebra 2 pre-calculus. The pink and the yellow is for the Algebra 1 and Algebra. And if you are a lefty, I also have my left-handed series, but my left-handed series is not on the A. Okay, the A is the brown box with the smile on it. That's not on the A. These other two and all my other books are definitely on there. But if you want the left-handed version of it, okay, everything's still the same. This one is for Algebra 1. You just have to go to this if you want to order the left-handed books, okay? I do have one for Algebra 2 and Pre-Calculus. I just don't have it in my possession right now, but that is available, okay? Now, if you want my notes and you're like, Audrey, I just want your notes. Like, just give me your notes. Like, I would love to follow along and all that stuff. I have something called Audrey's Notes. So Audrey's Notes is just basically all my notes that I write inside of my notebook, just like I was doing earlier. But the thing is, I have a QR code. So the QR code will actually, if you scan it with your phone, it will actually take you to the live that's connected to the notes. And then you can just sit down, organize it, write it out, follow along. It's great for homeschool parents. It's great for remediation, you know, so maybe giving the kids a different voice to hear. So at least it kind of organizes it a little bit. These are not in sequential order. So I just want to let you know that. Just like how I do with my lives. 1 minute I can be doing adding, subtracting fractions. The next minute I'm working on factoring. The next time I'm doing a little bit of geometry. The next minute I'm working on like 4-point questions with geometry. So, you know, or for the GED. So it's not going to be like in sequential, but it will give you something to kind of make a connection for, okay? So this, you can buy it on the A, and you can also purchase it here. Now, if you want, and you're just like, I really want to get my GED, but I don't know where to start, I have a course. I have several courses. One for GED, one for ASVAB, one for Accuplacer, the TEAS test, HESI test, IBEW. You're going to hit that foundation of algebra. Okay, so if you want to purchase those are $197, which overall you can play it whenever you want to play it. You can stop it, you can rewind it, you can pause, try to do the problem yourself, and then push play to double check, and that's how you can learn and check your answers as well. It's cheaper than private tutoring, but it's definitely just as effective. And if you ever come across something, my videos are, there's 107 videos. There's practice exams, there's practice sheets, quizzes, and there's like at the end of every video, there is an exit ticket, which the answer to that exit ticket is on the next video. So it kind of forces you to go to the next video for you to move forward. Okay. Okay, where to buy? Sure. You can either go here if you want the Audrey's Notes. You can either go here or you can go to the A. You know, there's a rainforest named after it. You know. So either place you can do that. Okay. Oh, not a problem, Tracy. Okay. All right. So with the books, okay, these is just guided notes, basically. Okay, these are just guided notes. So it'll just take you through step by step. It will follow along. But if you're like about to do your ASVAB and you're just like, I don't know where to begin, I'm telling you. And if you haven't seen math in forever, do the courses, because I start with basically the types of numbers all the way to rational functions. So even, for the AccuPlacer and all that stuff. And there's also probability and statistics in there. There's geometry in there. So anything that is on the test is in through these courses. Okay. So I don't have a book. Right. Thank you, Alpha. I know I can't. Okay, the triples are not on any of those tests, so that's why I don't do it. Okay, yeah, he does. Yeah, that one. Yeah, that's why I said the brown box with a smile on it. And then plus there's a rainforest, so. Okay. All right. So how do you get the ASVAB one? The ASVAB, there's not a workbook for the ASVAB. Like all of these, if you just want the formulas, because remember, this is a blank notebook like this. Okay, the only thing that it comes with is the resource pages. Okay, so like if you're taking notes from the ASVAB course, that's what you're going to be doing. But I do not have like an ASVAB workbook, if that's what you're asking. Oh, you took the SAT today? All right, cool. How'd you feel? Okay. All right. Awesome. Okay, all right. So now, if you feel like I want something, but I don't know what I want, you can always message me. Like, I'd rather you message me than you purchase something and you're like, oh, that's not what I thought it was. Okay, I want to share my gift and get rewarded by it, so I can, I don't know, keep doing this. So keep doing some of these things for free. But the tutoring is a paid thing. So please don't say, oh, I want tutoring. And then I tell you the price and you're going to be like, oh, I don't want tutoring. And I'm like, I am a pretty penny. I normally charge $87 per session. But for my TikTok followers, I dropped it down to $67. And I only have, for those 67 slots, I only have 5 slots left. So if you want the tutoring, it is an investment, okay? That's what I said, like for the long run, if you want to do self-paced, the courses will be your best bet, which is at the $197. But, again, you can go here. Give me, I don't know, however long this bad boy is going to take for me to download, but, it'll be on sometime tonight. Okay. All right. So, no, because I just do everything that is like Algebra 1 contained. That's it. Anything advanced? No. They should be. They should be, especially if you go through the A. Well, either way. Because I know if you go through here, they deliver worldwide. But now how long it takes for you to get it, that depends on your address and your destination. Okay. All right. Okay. Great. Okay. All right. Now, I'm going to go because I've been on here. Holy hell. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Okay. 11 a.m. We're going to be doing a little bit of some sampling stuff. But I really think the ratio, the rational function, I think that's what I'm going to do tomorrow. Okay, skip that. So rational functions, which is a combination of the exponents that we did today and the factoring, I'm going to do that tomorrow so we can simplify rational expressions. All right, so that's what we're going to be doing at 11 a.m. All right, everyone. See ya. Have a great Saturday. Continue to be awesome. And I need to cool my phone down now. Bye.